know what our Chapter 70 is going to be next year. In the past, one of the reasons we got bailed out was because of a large Chapter 70 increase that became apparent to us in April or May. But we already know the Chapter 70 number, we already know the local aid numbers. So
those numbers are,
We're going to lose about 440,000 local aid.
okay.
Could be more if the meals and room tax doesn't go.
So we know that.
Could be over 600.
we know that. We did
know
know
that.
that was the source of the surprises in the past. As Superintendent mentions, the best possibility for us here is savings and fringe benefits. That's the biggest unknown.
So
That might have the biggest bang.
That 357,000 is a given no matter what, just about. I mean, that's, yeah, we have to cut that.
I would say at this time, on February 9th, that's what I
Good way of putting it.
And I guess Maureen makes a good point in that every year, I don't think the selectmen get slammed as much with the finance committee because they don't work with this, or at least the selectmen don't work with this big of a budget. But every year you see, or you talk to people, oh, you guys and your scare tactics. It's not scare tactics, it's being responsible. We're being told we have a certain amount of money, and it's very early in the process, it's February. So we have to look at that amount of money and say, okay, how are we gonna spend it? And the superintendent and business manager and the administrative staff are responsible to put together a budget that reflects that amount of spending. And it would be irresponsible for us to say, okay, you're telling us we have 20 million to spend, here's our $23 million budget. And that's the problem with the process, is we put together a budget that meets the revenue number, and then when we get more money,
Yeah.
we add things back in. And that's the way the process works.
The other thing people have to understand is over the last 4 or 5 years, we've added about $750,000 in fees in total. So
Right.
those fees, I mean, that is money that we came up with out of parents' pockets to replace what should be an appropriation. And we're at the end of the line pretty much with those things. So there's no, we've used up not only the fees, but even the revolving
Every
accounts that we've
revolving
exhausted.
account, right.
So we've taken a lot of money that doesn't show up in the appropriation line and used it to pay for expenses that.
You know, there's no scare tactics. I would much rather, and I'm sure David would, have the administrators working for these past couple of months on curriculum in schools and kids,
None of this.
and not spinning their wheels over putting together lists of cuts. It's,
Or thinking about how we could, and I say this so many times, how we could add at least one more foreign language at the high school, have more than French and Spanish, and maybe have other classes at middle school and high school, and maybe have a more immersion in a foreign language in the 6th grade. You go out to other districts and they're teaching foreign language starting in kindergarten. A lot of districts. We don't even have we can't even look at that. And that's the frustrating thing.
Your kids go to Mexico, we don't even teach Mexico.
Right, that's next week. They don't have much time to learn. So, again, it's not scare tactics, it's try to work responsibly and then move from there. But when you're in January and February and the numbers are moving targets,
Well, we don't know what teachers are gonna cost us. We don't know what we're gonna get from the stimulus package, which might affect the local share,
Right.
which might improve even the Chapter 70 formula,
Right.
who knows? So we don't know how much local aid we're gonna get. We don't know what fuel and power is gonna cost us next year. So, we don't know an awful lot of what the costs are going to
We
be.
pretty much do know we're not gonna be level funded no matter what happens.
well, we might be level funded, but we're not
I
going
mean,
to
level,
level
we're not
service.
gonna have enough funding to level
Cliff,
service.
I mean, we don't know things like, what's the excise, you usually project an increase in auto excise tax every year. We're projecting decreases because of the economy.
Right.
Fees and other income decrease. If you look at a lot of the income line items from the budget, they're projecting decreases or level revenues over the next 2 years. But we don't know. They could get down auto excise tax. I think it was in the transcript, it said the average car, the average age for a car in North Reading has gone up to 8 or 9 years. And so that means you're paying less on excise tax.
Some people just may not pay it.
Same thing with, taxes, real estate
Yeah,
taxes.
there's a lot of that happening.
Right. So, I guess, David, do you want to talk about scheduling budget forums for, not this week, but the week after next? I mean, not next week, but next week is vacation.
What, is anyone on the committee going on vacation?
I'm not going anywhere.
I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old,
Can't
there
afford
is
it.
no
There
vacation.
is.
How about you? I can't afford it.
I'm not going
I
anywhere.
know.
I'm not going anywhere, but,
Because we can meet, I know it's not a good time to hold public input because some people might be going
Right.
away.
So, can we just talk a little bit about how you see that forum to be structured? Is it just an open discussion, or, I mean, last time we invited parents to come in, we gave them, we were planning a budget to build,
To build.
to restore, and so we had an
right, what do
amount
you
of
want to
money,
put back?
sort of a target, and we asked people to build that pyramid,
Because
basically.
they had choices.
Right. So this is a little different. But we could hold some, for example, on the 24th of February in the morning, I meet with the Parent Advisory Council, which is the parent leadership, probably 8 to a dozen people. That, we could turn that into one of the forums.
Maybe more question and answer session, do you think?
Already on the 24th, I know Jerry and I already have athletic subcommittee
That's at 12:30.
and negotiations at 4, so I don't know if I can make that.
So the week of March, first week of March is open. Might give a little more lead time.
But it-
Um,
But not to miss the opportunity that you have that group already together.
Well, we would be talking about, sure, I mean, budget will be a key point, but it's generally just the leadership, the president, vice president of the various.
I could make it, if we could get 2 of us to go, maybe you could open it up
The Tuesday?
Tuesday morning.
Tough for me.
Well,
Maybe
I can
have
make it,
2
but I have a
others, maybe
4-year-old
one on the
with me.
first, the 24th, and then maybe on, say, March 3rd, another Tuesday, or maybe Tuesday night, the 3rd.
What about the rest of that week?
And right now, the rest of that week is open.
I mean, the rest of the week of, the last week of February.
Right now, it's pretty booked. Friday morning is open. We have policy subcommittee at 12:30, but,
If we went with the parent advisory meeting, would we get press coverage? Because that's the point, it's not just the people that are at the meeting get informed, but
certainly it's open.
you
sure.
get it out.
So you would change that from just a meeting with the parent advisory committee to just an open meeting for everybody to come and give input on the budget?
And then we could pick, on the following, the next week, maybe an evening or another morning.
I would say do an evening, so if you do it on the 24th, I can just take a day off from work and just spend the day here. That's all right. I can have lunch here.
Yeah.
So what time on the 24th?
Well, we usually schedule at 9:30.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I can get, we'll pick probably the large group room at the.
Should we videotape it so we can play back if it comes off good?
Again, I'm not sure, the structure of this is a little more open-ended, so I don't
Right.
know
Okay.
how that works. And then the following week, the 3rd, Tuesday night.
Fiscal advisory committee.
Monday night, the 2nd.
Oh, that's right.
back. Monday night, I'm open Monday the 2nd. I wanna do something that night.
Yeah.
Would you do it at 6 or 7?
Well, I think if it's open to the public, you'd want to do it a little bit, you know, probably 7, I would say.
Where would you do it?
The same large group room, or?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think it's not a regular school committee meeting. It's
Right.
not a
Right.
formal presentation.
No.
No, I could make that.
We just make like an opening, comments.
Yeah, I see you kind of laying out the situation, and I do think explaining, as we discussed tonight, the budget process and how we're not trying to scare people, we're trying to work within the amount of money that we're told we have at this time, and then lay out,
Salary, special ed, and operating,
right,
those
lay out,
3 areas.
lay out the not the recommendations, but lay out the potential cuts, and then just let people, I mean, I think we have stated tonight that we want the teacher positions to be the last thing to go. And that's 9 or 10 of them.
And then what about a budget workshop?
That's scheduled.
That's the night.
That is-
Oh, that's the public hearing.
Workshop is already scheduled.
No, that's the public hearing on the ninth.
No, I'm sorry, that's,
Yeah, we need room with that, just
Hearing.
us guys.
oh, okay.
Well, you have a meeting on the 23rd of February, and maybe that,
We do just budget, make it a workshop.
we could.
Okay.
That makes sense, then we're not adding the third, change the form.
So
to
just the
workshop.
23rd on a budget, do a budget workshop. Okay. Marcy, do you wanna?
I'm sorry, did you say that there was gonna be a budget forum on March 2nd?
Yes.
Did we say March 2nd? Yeah.
Monday, March 2nd at 7
Did
o'clock.
the selectmen have a public budget hearing on that date? I just wanted to make you aware of that.
So we should change it.
Yeah.
So the 3rd?
I can't make the 3rd, but if you wanna do it on the 3rd, because I have fiscal advisory
I
committee
can
that
make
night.
the 3rd.
But if other people can make
Yeah,
it, that's
we
fine.
should.
Okay.
So that could be on Tuesday the 3rd instead?
Yes.
At 7 PM in the morning, correct?
7
Yeah.
PM, yep.
That's the key.
Thank you.
We got another.
We have the Sunday.
I'm sorry, Mel, just to make sure we have our dates straight, the 24th in the morning at 9:30.
Yes.
And the
Yeah.
23rd, you're having your own budget workshop?
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
And I'd like to hold it in the large group room, but I would need to confirm that.
What, the budget workshop?
No.
On the 24th?
No, the 24th, just the location of the budget forum.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything going on here, but I don't know that.
If not, we'd have to come in here.
Well, we'll find space, but I don't know. I don't want to commit to the large group room right away.
And that makes this Friday's finance planning team of paramount importance, because we won't be getting the official available funds number, but we will be getting an updated available funds number.
Right.
And that will be the last time we get that number prior to these 2 public hearings and workshops. So
Right.
we will be running with that number, so we'll have to devote some time Friday to reaching consensus on that.
Okay.
That's gonna drive a lot of what we
Right.
discussed.
Right. Okay. All right. Any other items on the budget? There can't be any more items on the budget at this point. Okay. Next, we have David.
Excuse me.
Okay.
In the handouts, there was a question about reporting out the balances on their
Oh, right.
revolving accounts.
Right.
So maybe Mr. Nelson might
Okay.
want to take a minute just to go over that. I think
Okay.
there are always questions about, oh, there's a lot of money
Right.
in the revolving